Hey there, YouTubers and blade lovers. This old sword back with you. And we're revisiting today a interesting newer offering from SOG, better known as Studies and Observations Group. And I'm going to read you off some quick specs first of this interesting EDC tactical all-around military law enforcement use shorter knife. It has a overall length of 9 inches. Can that be right? We're going to have to measure that. It has a blade length of 3.375 inches, blade width of 1 inch, a thickness of 0.13 inches. It is out of D2, what they call cryo D2, or cryogenically quenched, I believe. It's a drop point blade, flat grind, black cerakoted, I think. This one is serrated partially. We'll get to that a little later. Has a handle length of 4.625 inches, handle width of 1.25 inches, a handle thickness of 0.56 inches. Handle is of G10, and it is color black in this case. They come in OD green as well. It is a right or left hand tip-up carry. Manual knife. You can use a flipper to open it or the thumb stud. It utilizes the new XR lock, which we'll also take a closer look at. And it is a model number 12-38-03-57. And it is made in China. So, without further ado, let's take a closer look. So with this TAC XR knife, flipper, folder, we have the highly touted new SOG XR lock, which is a derivative, you might say, of the Benchmade Axis lock, which went off of copyright. I don't know why I can't remember the word copyright, but it must be some hang up in the brain. And other companies are copying it freely, as I understand. SOG decided to call theirs the XR lock, but essentially it internally works the same as the Axis lock. Pull back, blade is freed, you can swing it open. One flip to close. Snap it open, close. Use the thumb studs, no problem. So it is what you might call a very fidgety knife. Got to get your hand motion in the right direction if you're going to pull back on the locks. One thing I notice is that in closing it, you can just use one side. I found that on the Axis locks, at least the original ones from Benchmade, that really I needed to pinch it back with both fingers. Easier that way with this one as well, but you can easily just use your thumb or your index finger. You can probably, you can spidey flick this. Just have to do it the right way. It moves very free on the bearings and very smoothly. Take a look at the clip. We have a almost deep carry clip. We're not sure, many reviewers, why they stopped there. They could easily have put it up a little higher. It could be they didn't want to run it into the lanyard hole. That's a possibility. And we actually have 2 holes there. A very prominent larger lanyard hole and a smaller hole that kind of stumps me as to what it's used for. If you know, put it in the comments. As far as this blade goes, there's a lot of you out there that absolutely detest serrations. Cosmetically, they're not the best looking blade feature, but use-wise, if you've ever tried cutting plastic strap, nylon rope, marine rope, what have you, with a smooth edge, even a very sharp smooth edge, unless it's been sharpened to be very toothy, you slide, and you got to saw a little bit and work at it. With the serrations, you at least get a start. You move on to the edge, and you get a very easy cut, at least in my experience. We have a G10, or is it? One moment. No, we have a steel backspacer that runs about 3/4 of the way up the back. We have an opening here where perhaps you can wash out the mechanism should it get dirty. And we have what's got to be a T6. It's just too small to be a T8 on both sides of the pivot. Why? I don't know. T8s strip much less often than T6s. This could even be less than a T6, I'm not sure. It's interesting. At any rate, you have a somewhat aggressive G10 handle with plenty of grip. You've got jimping built in everywhere. So let's take a look at the overall length, which I was a little suspicious of. Usually Blade HQ gets it right. 8 inches, not 9 inches. Unless I was cross-eyed when I was reading it. Let's check the blade thickness while we're at it. We've got 3.1 millimeters. And the handle thickness of 0.56, so they're on about that. And may as well weigh it. Zero it out again. And we've got a hefty 5.2 ounces. Pretty much what they said, I believe. So it's an 8-inch overall knife. I couldn't see it being 9 inches. It's kind of crazy. So how about measured up against the good old Griptilian? Very comparably sized knife overall and blade length. So we'll call it a Griptilian sized knife for sure. It is, however, not as large as the good old Rat 1, which is quite a bit longer. And let's shake it up a little bit and put my daily carry of the day out there. Pocket check. The Amalgam by Spyderco. A big knife. A very large knife next to the SOG TAC XR. So we'll take one more look around. And you can see that it's a nicely made knife. I mean, for about 75 bucks, I think. The Pentagon's going to cost you a lot more. The Pentagon's got CTS XHP steel, I believe. You can double check me on that. Anyway, this is D2, and this is a good serviceable knife. locks up tight as a drum, my good old expression. Excellent jimping, very grippy and aggressive. They really went out of their way to design a useful knife. It's not one with a really long blade, but it's one of those with a handle, fair amount larger looking at least than the blade. You got a good built-in guard. It's not going to slip out of your hand. It's not going to slip your hand forward onto the blade. You've got plenty of guard area in there. And you have a good usable area on the very front of the flipper, which really is a choke-up position. So without running your finger onto the blade, you've got plenty of room there to rest your entire index finger. That's kind of a neat feature. So you don't need to cut out anything in the blade. You've basically got a platform right there. So there. Ergos are great. I mean, this knife locks right into your hand. Again, for the prices that SOGs are going for in the new run, I would say that this is an excellent, more budget-y friendly knife in the under 100 classification. You might feel it's a little pricey for the materials, but I think they did a great job. The clip, probably a good useful clip, even though it doesn't carry as deep as you'd like it. This may not be a knife you want to have to disappear into your pants in a work environment anyway. You may want to carry something else. But as far as a good user, a good durable, I would think, EDC knife, this should be worth your consideration. And by the way, don't forget that you will get a 10% discount if you get this knife out at White Mountain Knives using the discount code OLDSWORD. Hope you do. And if you like this video, give it a like, please. And don't forget to subscribe. Back with you soon.